What if the very heart of religion isn't about rules or ancient texts or even what you believe? What if it's a feeling? We're about to dive into a single, powerful idea from a German theologian that totally reshaped how we think about the sacred. This is the story of Rudolf Otto and his incredible book, The Idea of the Holy. Some books, they don't just capture a moment, they really define it. They show up right when the world is wrestling with a question it just can't seem to answer. And for a world that was fractured, disillusioned by war, and just desperately searching for meaning in the rubble, well, this was that book.
To really get why this book was such a game changer, you have to kind of feel the moment. Europe was just reeling from the absolute devastation of World War I. All the old certainties were gone. And for so many people, the purely rational, scientific ways of looking at the world suddenly felt hollow. Almost insulting, really, when faced with that much tragedy.
And here's the real paradox. Religion itself was having its own crisis of meaning. The problem wasn't a lack of belief. Nope. The problem was that belief had become too safe, too predictable. It had been tamed. See, for decades, a lot of thinkers had tried to put religion into this neat little box of human reason. They made it all about predictable morals, ethical checklists, and tidy doctrines. But in taming it, they stripped away the very thing that gave it power, the mystery, the wildness, the awe. It's like they built this perfect cage, but the human spirit was still looking for the sky. So into this spiritual vacuum steps a guy named Rudolf Otto. He saw the empty cage and offered a pretty radical idea. Maybe the point wasn't to tame religion at all, but to actually understand its wild, untamable heart. So, in 1917, while the world is literally still at war, Otto publishes Das Heilige. The title is simple enough, The Holy, but its impact was like a shockwave. This was not just another dry academic text. It was a phenomenon. The appeal was just immediate. In Germany alone, it went through more than 25 editions. I mean, think about that for a second. People weren't just reading this book, they were devouring it. They were absolutely starved for what Otto had to say. And this hunger, it wasn't just in Germany. Within a decade, it was translated into 7 different languages, spreading Otto's idea all across a globe that was desperate for a new way to think about the sacred. The intellectual world definitely took notice. The philosopher Charles A. Bennett called it the most striking and original attempt to distill the essence of religion. That's some high praise. So what was this revolutionary idea at the heart of it all? Okay, so Otto's entire argument, the whole thing, hangs on this one powerful concept he came up with to describe the raw, beating heart of religious experience. He actually coined a new word for it, the numinous. Now, the numinous isn't an idea you think about or a doctrine you believe. It's a feeling. It's that shiver down your spine when you stand at the edge of the Grand Canyon. It's that sense of overwhelming mystery when you look up at a sky just packed with stars. It's a non-rational encounter with something powerful, sacred, and completely other than you. You can't think your way to it. You can only experience it. And this, right here, is the core of his argument. Otto said this feeling, the numinous experience, is the real foundation of all religion. It comes before the 10 Commandments, before all the theological debates, before any moral codes. First comes the awe, then comes the explanation. Otto breaks this experience down into 3 key ingredients. First, there's this unique emotion. It's not happiness, it's not exactly fear, it's awe. Second, you get a totally new perspective. It suddenly reorients your entire sense of purpose. And third, there's this flash of insight, this gut feeling that you've just touched something eternal, something way beyond our day-to-day lives. And in doing all this, Otto achieved something huge. He argued that religion wasn't just a subcategory of ethics or philosophy. No, it was its own, totally independent territory of the human experience. Now, Otto didn't just pull this out of thin air. He was definitely standing on the shoulders of giants. He took Lutheranism's focus on inner experience, he took Kant's warning that reason can't explain everything, and Schleiermacher's idea that religion is a unique feeling, and he just fused them all together into something new and way more powerful. His main argument was what he called the autonomy of religion. And his claim was simple but radical. The capacity to feel the numinous is a fundamental, hardwired part of the human mind. It isn't a byproduct of society or psychology, it's an original feature. It comes standard. And this is the key takeaway. Otto put the religious experience on equal footing with everything else. He argued that our feeling of awe has its own claim to truth, right alongside our sense of right and wrong, our appreciation for art, and our scientific understanding of the world. It's just another, equally valid way of knowing what's real.
So why does this 100-year-old idea still matter so much today? Let's take a look at the legacy of the idea of the holy. You see, Otto's real genius was carving out this desperately needed middle pass. On one side, you had this cold, sterile rationalism that explained everything but inspired nothing. On the other, you had this vague, formless supernaturalism. Otto offered a third way, a faith grounded not in abstract logic or blind belief, but in a real, tangible human experience. Ultimately, what he did was bring the conversation about religion back to its source, that profound, personal, and mysterious encounter with the sacred. He reminded a world that was obsessed with finding all the answers that maybe some things aren't meant to be explained, but experienced. And that leaves us with a pretty powerful question for our own time, doesn't it? In an age of endless data, constant information, and answers right at our fingertips, have we, in our quest to understand everything, maybe forgotten what it feels like to simply be in awe?